So today we're gonna do something kind of wild. We're gonna take a 4-second audio clip that literally broke the internet and connect it to a 400-year-old philosophical idea that completely changed how we think about reality itself. Ready? Let's dive in. Okay, first things first. I'm gonna play a sound for you, listen really close, and just decide which word you hear. So, what did you get? Was it Yanny? Or was it Laurel? Now, here's the crazy part. No matter how sure you are right now, I promise you, millions of people are just as sure they heard the exact opposite. And that's really the heart of this whole thing. This one little clip sparked this huge global debate. People weren't just disagreeing, they were absolutely convinced they were right, and that the other side was just wrong or maybe even crazy. So how is that even possible? How can the same exact sound create two totally different realities? Well, believe it or not, there's a perfectly logical scientific reason for all the confusion. But to really get it, we have to accept a simple, kinda unsettling fact. We can't always trust our own ears. Let's start with the physics of it all. It all comes down to one little word: frequency. Just think of it as the pitch of a sound. Laurel is a sound made up of low frequencies, kind of like a bass note. Yanny, on the other hand, is made of high frequencies, like a treble note. And that difference is the first major clue in solving this whole mystery. Okay, so here's the big secret. Both sounds are actually in the recording at the same time. Yanny is riding on the high frequencies, and Laurel is hiding out in the low frequencies. So what you end up hearing can actually depend on how sensitive your ears are to different pitches, and that's something that often changes as we get older. So case closed, right? It's just biology? Well, not quite. The physics of sound and the way our ears work, that's only part of the puzzle. It doesn't explain that feeling, that absolute certainty people had, or the much deeper truth this silly meme accidentally uncovered about how we build our reality. Because the real magic trick, or maybe the real problem, isn't happening in your ears at all. It's happening between them. It's all going down inside your brain. You see, as one expert from the University of Texas pointed out, the audio quality here is, well, it's pretty bad. It's noisy, it's ambiguous, and when our brain gets messy data like this, it doesn't just give up. Nope, it takes its best guess. It actively fills in the gaps based on what it thinks it should be hearing. And if this whole thing is giving you a serious case of déjà vu, it absolutely should. This is the exact same thing that was going on a few years before with The Dress. Come on, you remember, was it blue and black or was it white and gold? The answer, again, had way less to do with the actual dress and everything to do with your brain. The lighting in that photo is a total mess, right? So your brain is forced to make a call. If your brain assumes the dress is in a shadow, it mentally subtracts the blue tones, and boom, you see white and gold. But if it assumes the dress is under bright artificial light, it subtracts the yellow tones, and you see blue and black. Your brain is literally building the color you see. And this is where we zoom out, way out. Because this feeling, this nagging suspicion that we can't really trust our senses, that is not some new internet problem. It is one of the oldest, most fundamental questions in the entire history of human thought. I mean, think about it. You can go all the way back to ancient Greece with Plato's famous allegory of the cave, where prisoners mistake shadows for reality. And you fast forward to the Enlightenment, and you have these brilliant thinkers systematically doubting everything they see. And now, here we are in the digital age, and viral memes are doing the exact same thing for millions of us. This leads us straight to a really powerful and, for some, a kind of unsettling idea: relativism. It's basically the concept that maybe an absolute single truth doesn't actually exist. If your reality is Yanny and my reality is Laurel, then the whole idea of one objective truth starts to crumble. And trust me, this is not a new idea. The ancient Greek philosopher Xenophanes put it this way centuries ago: how sweet we think a fig is relative. It's defined by what else we've tasted. Our perception is always, always shaped by its context. For a lot of philosophers, this was a terrifying thought. It's a genuine philosophical nightmare. I mean, if everyone has their own truth, if we're all just living in our own little perceptual bubbles, how can we ever agree on laws or science or what's right and wrong? How does society even work? But then, in the 17th century, this philosopher named René Descartes came along and decided to face this nightmare head on. He set out on a mission to stare down all of this paralyzing doubt and find one single thing, just one, that he could know with absolute 100% certainty. So he came up with this system called the method of radical doubt. First, he decided to doubt his senses, because hey, we already know they can trick us. Then he doubted his entire reality. I mean, for all he knew, he could just be in a really vivid dream. He stripped away everything he possibly could, until he was left with only one thing. After throwing out everything that could be an illusion, his senses, the world, even his own body, what was left? The one thing he couldn't doubt was the fact that he was doubting. And doubting, well, that's a form of thinking. This simple, brilliant realization led him to one of the most famous conclusions in all of Western philosophy. I think, therefore I am. Even if your senses are lying, even if the world is a dream, even if you're in the matrix, the very act of you thinking about it proves that you, the thinker, must exist. You cannot doubt your own existence, because to doubt, you have to exist in the first place. This was the solid ground, the bedrock of certainty that Descartes was looking for. So how on earth does this all get us back to a silly audio clip? What does Descartes' journey teach us about arguing over Yanni and Laurel? It teaches us that we need to add a whole new dimension to our perception. Think of it like this. One eye sees the world as a flat 2D image. But when you add a second eye, your brain combines those two flat images to create something totally new, a three-dimensional world with depth. The very same idea applies here. Your raw sensory perception, hearing just Laurel, for example, is like seeing with one eye. But reason is our second eye. It's what allows us to step back, to add that depth. It's what allows us to learn about frequencies and psychology and to understand why a perfectly reasonable person might hear Yanni. So look, the real takeaway here isn't about whether you're on Team Yanni or Team Laurel. It's about recognizing that our senses only give us a piece of the picture, and our brains are constantly filling in the rest. The goal isn't to win the argument about what's real. It's to use our reason to understand why someone else's reality might be different from our own. And that right there is the leap from just perceiving to truly understanding.
And all this leaves us with a final big question. If something as simple as a sound clip or a picture of a dress can show us the limits of our own perception, what other, more important things in our lives are we only seeing with one eye? What other shadows on the cave wall are we convinced are the absolute truth?